Hello and welcome to the Lewis Crompton YouTube channel. Now you may be right now in a job which is 9 to 5, you might enjoy it, you might hate it, but you have a few £100s left over at the end of each month and you want to do something with that money to make sure it's making more money, that you're making smart and wise decisions with your investments and what you choose to do. Maybe you are already investing, maybe you're not just yet. Either way, this is a place for you. This is the channel for you. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you like this video and let me know in the comments whether you are an experienced investor, whether you're completely new to investing, or if you're just somewhere in the middle there. Now, when you've got the option to invest, when you're looking to invest, there's so many different ways in which you can do that. So how do you know which is the best investment for you and which direction you should go in? You could be buying property, you could be investing in stocks and shares, you could be setting up a business, you could be trading Forex, you could be doing crypto, you could be doing loads of different varieties, weird and wacky, wonderful things with investments. So which is the best for you? Now, before we answer that question, I think it's really good to take a step back and just think about where are we right now, what is happening right now in the financial markets in 2022. Now, do you think that the market is currently in a good position, or do you think the market is currently in a bad position? What do you think? Let me know again in the comments whether or not you think the market is in a good place, or if you think the market is in a bad place. Now, you may have heard of a guy called Warren Buffett, arguably one of the best investors of our generation. Well, he's not really our generation, he's quite an old bloke now. But if you've ever heard this quote of his, he says, "Be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy." So if we think about the market right now, do you think people are fearful? Do you think people are greedy? I personally think people are quite fearful. We've got war in the Ukraine. We've got famines happening all over the world. We've got crazy inflation rates happening again all over the world. Here in the UK, it's probably around 10%, if not higher, and that's just what they're admitting to. So we've got all this craziness going on in the market. Now, when we have craziness happening in the market, and this is before we even factor in policy changes, international foreign policy, all of the sort of cost of goods and buying and selling goods and all of that, before we even layer all of that into the equation, all this craziness creates one thing in the market, and it creates fear. So when that fear is taking place in the market, what that does is it creates uncertainty. Now, uncertainty breeds fear. And part of the reason why that happens is on an individual level, on a one-to-one level, in our brains, they're wired to create what's called prediction loops. Now, these prediction loops are what allow us to feel safe and certain as to what is coming next in our futures. And it gives us a sense of control, albeit false, but it gives us a sense of control that we can see and know what's going to happen next in the future. So when we don't have that, when we have all this craziness going on, when we have Elon Musk going to be president in 2029 or whatever it is, I don't know, something crazy like that, and no, that's not actually happening, that's just a prediction, you heard it here first. When we've got all of that going on, such levels of anxiety and fear cause uncertainty in the market. And when we have uncertainty in the market, that causes fluctuations, that causes crashes, or at minimum causes the market to stagnate. So at the moment we're seeing all this feeding into the markets crashing. We've got crypto crashing quite heavily. I'm sure some of you have seen that. We've got stocks and shares markets. We've got indexes. They're all crashing as well, going down. And what we actually have as a bit of a reaction to that is property prices going up. So why are property prices going up? Because they're another form of asset. They're another form of investment. And again, it comes down to fear. People have this inherent understanding that there's nothing safer than bricks and mortar. You may have heard that phrase before. So with there being nothing safer than bricks and mortar, when people are scared, when people are fearful, what do? They go and buy a house. Now, there's other elements going on in that whole market as well, with people wanting to move out of cities because they can work more remotely and that type of thing. So that's driven demand up as well. But even inside the city, prices in certain areas are going up too. And I think a lot of the reason is because of fear, because of inflation. So people want to put their money into property as a result of that. Now, one of the best things you can do as an investor, in my opinion, and it would be remiss of me to not say this, but is invest in yourself. Learn about this stuff, understand this stuff, so that you're well armed, you're forewarned, and you've got something going on which is actually going to allow you to start investing. But where should you start? How do you know which is the best investment vehicle to purchase for you? Now, when it comes to being old and it comes to being young, I would approach this differently. So if you are over 60 years old, then I probably wouldn't recommend investing in some of these investment vehicles because you need to wait for a longer period of time to really see the benefits. And with what we're seeing currently in the markets, we're not necessarily sure that within the time frame that you may want to reap the benefits from that particular investment, that that's going to happen within that time frame. We want you to enjoy your money at the end of the day. That's why we're making it, so we can enjoy it, we can live the life we want, have experiences that we want to have. So if you're under 60, or under 50, or under 40, you may make slightly different decisions based upon what's happening in the markets currently. So if you're currently looking to invest and you're under the age of 50, let's say, I would be highly looking into, I'm never going to give financial advice technically, but what I would be looking at is, and this is what I do personally, I would be looking at, dare I say it, crypto. And if you're going to be looking at crypto, the type of things that I would be buying are the equivalent of blue chips within the crypto realm. So I would be looking at Bitcoin, I would be looking at Ethereum, and I would be buying those. Something else that I'm looking at personally is I'm looking at index trackers. So I buy index trackers. I have particular stocks and shares that I purchase as well. I'm not worried about what the current valuation is. And actually, because of where the markets are, because they're crashing, I'm getting good prices on them. So people are buying super high when it comes to property. Stocks are lower. So why would I not buy stocks when they're lower? Because they're going to go up later on. Do I think property will go up later on? Yes, I do, but you're going to have to wait a longer period of time. And when that dip comes, which is inevitable, then it's going to be more painful than if you waited until that point. But technically, there's never a bad time to buy property. But right now is a fantastic time to be buying certain stocks, certain shares. And if you don't want to do research into which are the good stocks and which are the good shares to be looking at, then just buy index trackers. Index trackers are investment vehicles which allow you to buy a collection of companies. So for example, in the UK, we have the FTSE. You can buy an index tracker linked to the FTSE. So as that goes up in value, so does your investment. So right now, when it's at a lower price, good opportunity to buy. So again, going back to our quote from Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. So it's a really, really good opportunity right now for you to buy. But make sure you invest in yourself. Please do something when it comes to investing. And if you want to take the pain out of investing, you don't want to spend loads of time doing this, you don't want to have to do loads of different bits of research, then what I would suggest you do is you automate the process. So you can set up automatic buys of particular stocks, automatic buys of particular cryptos. I personally use a website called Binance. I'll put a link in the comments to Binance. And you can set up automatic recurring buys on a weekly, a monthly basis, however you want to do it. So with that extra £300, £400, £500 a month you've got, you can allocate it to different investment vehicles like index trackers as well. You can do the same with those. So those are some of the areas that you can invest in 2022. I personally am putting my money into index trackers, very particular stocks and shares, and crypto. That's where I'm primarily putting my money. So if you've liked this video, give it a like, share it with anybody who you think it might be beneficial for, subscribe, and I will see you in the later videos.